An 85-year-old Navy veteran steps into his former tavern for a peaceful mug of tea, only to be struck in the jaw by a motorcyclist half his age. No one intervenes, no one utters a sound, but the quiet doesn't linger long. 30 minutes later, his son arrives, not solo but with a naval response unit. What unfolds next compels an entire community to face what honor truly means. Hit like and comment where you're tuning in from. Your support fuels more inspiring tales. Now, let's dive in. The jukebox spun an old folk melody, faintly audible over the clatter of glasses and whispers at Joe's Hideaway, a roadside tavern nestled off Route 9. At a corner booth sat 85-year-old Thomas "Tom" Grayson, clad in a crisply ironed cotton shirt, Navy veteran's hat, and weathered leather shoes. Every Wednesday afternoon for the past 5 years, Tom had entered with a subtle nod, claimed the same spot, ordered plain tea, and observed the world pass by, just as he did when he owned the place years ago. Most folks didn't know Tom. They saw only an elderly man with weathered skin and a deliberate gait. What they overlooked were the twin gold anchors etched in his spirit, the burden of being a retired Navy chief petty officer who had guided young sailors through storms and strife, then returned to a civilian world that often turned away. That afternoon, as Tom settled in, 3 motorcyclists burst through the door with a gust of air and raucous chuckles. They reeked of ale and gasoline, their leather jackets laden with unearned badges. One, tall, broad-shouldered, with a constant scowl, surveyed the room and grinned when he spotted Tom. "Check out Grandpa Courage," the motorcyclist jeered, elbowing his pal. "Still think you're a legend, huh?" Tom glanced up slowly, locked eyes with the man, and stayed silent. His quiet was solid, unwavering, resolute. That only seemed to rile the man further. "Hey, I'm speaking to you," the motorcyclist snarled, looming over him. "You mute or just slow?" Still no response. Tom simply lifted his tea to his lips. The motorcyclist knocked the cup from his hands. It shattered on the floor. The tavern fell silent. Then came the blow. A sharp, sudden right hook caught Tom across the cheek, knocking him sideways off the stool. Gasps echoed, but no one stirred. Not the barkeep, not the customers, not even the staff. On the floor, Tom slowly propped himself up with one hand and reached into his jacket with the other, not for a weapon, but a phone. His fingers shook, not from fear, but age. He dialed one number, just one, then spoke calmly. "Son, it's me. I need you here." Commander Nathan Grayson was in the midst of a training briefing when his secure phone vibrated. One look at the caller ID halted his words mid-sentence. His father never called during the day, never during duty hours. Without a word, Nathan excused himself from the room of junior officers and stepped into the corridor. He answered on the move. "Dad," he said. The voice on the other end was steady, composed, too composed. "I need you here," Tom said deliberately. "Now. No details, no fuss." But Nathan sensed it. A sailor knows. When another sailor signals trouble, even one as seasoned and proud as his father. 5 minutes later, a mission-ready tactical vehicle sped out of Naval Base Carter's south gate. Nathan rode shotgun, his unit already briefed, though details were sparse. Just coordinates and one clear mission: safeguard the chief petty officer. Back at Joe's Hideaway, Tom sat alone again, his jaw swollen, a bruise blooming purple under his eye. The motorcyclists had returned to their seats, laughing, emboldened by the room's silence. The barkeep polished the counter nervously, avoiding eye contact. A server whispered near the kitchen door, but never emerged. "Guess he's calling the retirement home," one motorcyclist snickered. "Maybe they'll cart him off before he breaks a bone." But Tom never glanced their way. He simply clasped his hands and waited. Outside, dark clouds drifted across the highway. The sound came first, a low, steady rumble, growing louder by the second. It wasn't thunder, it was power. A convoy of sleek black SUVs and tactical trucks swung around the corner and halted in front of the tavern. Doors opened in sync. From the lead vehicle stepped Commander Nathan Grayson, strong jaw, piercing eyes, navy fatigues crisp as a knife's edge. His insignia gleamed under the cloudy sky. He moved like a man accustomed to earning respect, and behind him 6 men followed, all in civilian attire but unmistakably military in stance and demeanor. The entire tavern turned as the door swung open. Nathan entered without a word, scanned the room, and locked eyes with his father. Tom nodded once. No need for words. Nathan turned slowly toward the bar, his gaze landing on the motorcyclists. "Which one?" he asked. His father pointed, just once. The motorcyclist, burly, tattooed arms folded like iron bars, chuckled as Nathan approached. "Brought your squad, Commander?" he mocked. "What's the old man gonna do, hide behind his boy?" Nathan stopped just short of him. "Get up!" The room fell silent again. No jukebox, no chuckles, just tension thick as fog. The motorcyclist stayed seated, grinning. "Got a badge or something?" Nathan took a slow breath, then reached into his vest, not for a weapon but a small black tablet. He tapped the screen once. A silent video played. Every eye in the tavern saw it. Security footage, front angle, Tom sipping tea, the motorcyclist approaching. Words, the cup knocked to the floor, then the blow, clear and intentional. The footage froze as Tom hit the ground. "No excuses now," Nathan said icily. "You assaulted a decorated war hero, unprovoked, in front of witnesses. That's not just dishonor, that's a crime." The motorcyclist stood slower now, the bravado in his face fading into something smaller, less certain. "I didn't know he was a sailor," he stammered. Nathan cut in. "You didn't care." By now, Nathan's unit had quietly encircled the area, one by the door, one near the barkeep, the rest forming a subtle perimeter. No weapons drawn, but their presence commanded control. The tavern manager finally spoke from behind the counter. "Look, Commander, let's not escalate." "No," Nathan snapped. "You escalated when you asked my father to leave, instead of ejecting the man who struck him." The staff paled. Tom, still seated, watched it all unfold with a calm, unreadable gaze. He hadn't asked for this, not for a scene or retribution. He had simply done what any sailor does when outnumbered. He called for backup. Outside, 2 sheriff's cruisers pulled up, summoned earlier by Nathan's deputy. The deputies entered, saw the footage, and without a word, cuffed the motorcyclist. No resistance now. Just a defeated man led out under the weight of his own folly. But Nathan wasn't done. He turned to the patrons. "All of you saw it. None of you acted, not even a word. My father gave his life to defend this nation, and today he sat on that floor alone." Shame spread across faces. He didn't need rescuing. He needed witnesses, with courage. The silence in Joe's hideaway hung heavier than any storm. Nathan's words cut deeper than any fist could. No one stirred. No one spoke. Even the pool, table in the corner, sat untouched, its game half finished, the cue ball alone like a mark of the moral lapse that had just unfolded. Commander Nathan Grayson turned from the crowd, his jaw tight with restraint. He walked to his father, placed a firm hand on Tom's shoulder, and knelt beside him. "You okay, old man?" Tom nodded, his eyes steady. "Took harder hits in the Gulf, but it wasn't the blow that hurt. It was the quiet after." Nathan swallowed hard. He stood, then faced the tavern manager. "We're not here to make trouble," he said, his voice now steady but firm. "But this place just became a lesson in what happens when integrity fades quietly." The manager lowered his gaze. "We didn't know what to do." "Standing up for what's right is simple," Nathan replied. "You just do it." Outside, more deputies arrived, taking statements from patrons. The footage was already sent to the district attorney. The motorcyclist, now cuffed and humbled, sat in the back of a squad car, his arrogance gone. Inside, Tom stood slowly, his legs stiff, his ribs aching with age, but his posture proud. He faced the crowd. "I came here every week, for tea, not to drink, but because this place once felt like home." His voice was rough, but carried the weight of decades of duty. I wore the uniform for 30 years, saw brothers fall, saw this nation change, but I never thought it would forget how to honor those who kept it free. He scanned the room, his eyes meeting each face briefly. This isn't who we are. Not as a town, not as Americans. By the time Tom finished, heads were lowered, some eyes teary. A man near the jukebox whispered, "I'm sorry, sir." Another added, "We let you down." Nathan stepped in. "Don't apologize to us. Do better next time. That's how you honor men like him." From that moment, everything changed. 2 weeks later, Joe's hideaway looked different. Gone were the faded military signs used as mere decor. In their place, true honor took root. At the tavern's center now stood a glass case, a folded American flag inside, flanked by Tom Grayson's photo in uniform, and a brass plaque reading, "In honor of those who stood when others would not, Chief Petty, Officer Thomas Grayson, USN, retired. Defender of liberty, reminder of dignity." It had been donated by local veterans who rallied around the incident like a call to arms. The story of the assault, the silence, and the justice that followed spread across town like wildfire, but more importantly, it ignited something deeper. Veterans began hosting meetups at the tavern, turning it into a hub for mentorship and camaraderie. Young patrons listened, truly listened, to the stories of those who served before them. Even the local high school invited Tom to speak at their assembly, where he earned a standing ovation from 600 students. Tom hadn't sought attention, but now that it came, he used it not to shame, but to teach. One evening, as the sun dipped in gold over the hills, Tom and Nathan sat quietly outside the tavern, sipping lemonades, watching teens raise flags along Main Street for Memorial Day. Nathan leaned back. "You know you started a movement, right?" Tom shook his head. "No, that motorcyclist did. I just reminded folks who they were before they forgot." Nathan smiled. "Still, not many men your age could have handled it like you did." Tom gazed out over the town, his voice soft. "My fight ended decades ago, but it's my duty to ensure people know why I fought." That night, as they stood to leave, something unexpected happened. Everyone in the tavern rose to their feet. Not one stayed seated. The chatter stopped. The music paused, and in perfect silence, each patron placed a hand over their heart. It wasn't planned, it wasn't requested, but it was earned. Tom paused at the door, a little stunned, a little misty-eyed. For a man who had spent a lifetime defending honor, it had finally returned home in the most American way possible, not with fanfare, but with dignity.